Okay, this is Friday, October 8th, and we're doing a review session here for mods 22, 23, 27, and 28 because the test is this weekend. So fortunately for all you who are watching this, Elena has come here with a few questions, and so we will answer her questions. And if anybody else comes in, we'll add them to the group and answer their questions. And if your questions didn't get answered because they weren't asked, then um, I guess you can send me a text or an email and we can try to do it that way. Otherwise, hopefully you'll get your questions answered by Elena asking very, very good questions off the study guide. So, well, we're going to start with mod 22. Do you have any doubts at all about any of these answers?
Okay, let me quickly check on it again.
Just a word to the wise for you and of course other people who might be listening. Um, Questions like question number one, which is a definition about learning, that's always going to be a good possibility for a test question. And then questions like number three about Alzheimer's, where it's got two blanks that you have to fill out. I'm not going to put that on the test because that requires you to know two different pieces of information and you only get one set of points for it. So you get kind of cheated on that. So I skipped those. And then like number four has to do with how many slides can you remember in 10 seconds or something. I'm not going to put that on the test either because it's a very hard thing to remember exactly what you read. So a question like that is not going to be on the test. A question like number five is a typical test question. Just ask you something and then it has four different types of learning and you have to figure out which, I mean, not learning, but memory, and which one of the four fits to that particular set of facts for memory. So that would be a good question.
Found one that I was kind of confused. It was in question 68. It says you're most likely to
Okay,
automatically encode information about, and that's it.
if you're talking to me, I'm not going to be able to hear it because you're too far from the mic or something. Because
Oh,
so we were talking to me or somebody else.
no, to your teacher.
Okay, so what was your question?
Is number 68, and it says you're most
Okay,
likely.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Oh,
68.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. You're most likely to automatically encode information about what? Just
Yeah.
what happened. D. The answer is D. The sequence of what your day's events happened. You don't, while the events are happening,
Uh-huh.
you don't say to yourself, wow, the first thing I did was get in my car and drive to work. Then I got out and then I started to work and then I had a bad customer. No, you don't think that. But when in reflection in your memory, you can, somebody ask you, well, how was your day? It started out kind of crappy. There was this one person that, you know, and you go through your whole day. So that's, you're not consciously remembering the sequence of events. You just remember it because you lived through it. And the memories were being encoded without you using effortful energy to remember the memory.
Oh, okay. Because I was confused of what it meant about automatically encode information.
Encode, well, encode is just take it in. If you hear something or see something, that stimulus comes in your eye, goes in your ear, and then does it go into your nervous system and get sent to your brain so that you can decide whether you're going to remember it in your short-term memory for a while, or you're just going to throw it away and then it's gone. So you're always making decisions about whether you want to remember something or not. But then things are going on around you which you're remembering, and you're not putting any effort into remembering it. You just do. That's that automatic encoding. That's that unconscious coding. When you look at your memory chart, it's the one on the right, which is the unconscious coding.
Okay. Yeah, I think of that mod. I don't have any other question, but if you
Okay.
say
Well,
something, okay.
that question is not on the test, I can tell you that.
Okay, let me mark that.
All these questions about Atkinson and Sheffrin model, none of that is on there. I can't remember whether this mod has the long-term potentiation, LTP. There are no LTP questions on the exam. I don't, may not be in this chapter. I mean, this mod might be the next one. LTPs. Nothing about Ebbinghaus and Herman Ebbinghaus and his theory. Just basically definitions and maybe an example or two. Okay, so you want to go to 23?
Yeah.
I think there's 12 questions off of mod 22.
All right. Is there gonna be something about the amygdala or stress hormones in the exam?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in 23. Nothing about flash bulb memories in 23. I skipped over all of those.
Okay.
See, like I was telling you, question 5, explicit memory of facts and general knowledge is known as what? Oh, I don't remember. Well, get your sheet that has the memories and look around what explicit memory of facts, and then that's on the left-hand side, and you look down and you say, oh, that's a semantic memory because it's a memory of just general knowledge. Who was the first president of the United States? Oh, that's a semantic memory. If it's episodic, then it's your memory.
Okay.
You know, do you remember Cecilia when she went to graduation, when you guys graduated from high school? Well, yeah, I do remember her being there. Well, that's an explicit memory. You lived it. You were there.
Episodic.
Episodic, yes, because it's like an episode. You were in the episode.
Okay.
Okay, what you got going in 23?
I had some questions, but you already told me that they were in the exam, so I'm looking
Or
for.
not, they're gonna be there like number 7, episodic memory is best described as blank and blank. The answer is a D, explicit personally experienced events. That's not on the test because it's got 2 blanks, but
Uh-huh.
there's certainly probably gonna be a question about episodic memory or explicit memory.
Or the 20.
Come on, what do you? This test generator, test log, the default is it gives you 10 questions on a screen, and that's it. So you have to go back and tell it, no, 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 stupid, I want all of them.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I had done that, and so I was trying to make the page go down, and I looked at it, the only question on there was like 10, so I thought, nah, it's stuck on that. After all that, well, actually, all the waiting was on the other chapter, but it takes so long because there's about 180. Well, actually, that's not true. There's only 81 questions on this entire mod 23, which is pretty short because the other one had like 140. So,
Oh my.
okay. Do you have any issues on or any questions on 23, mod 23?
There's one about memory consolidation.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good test question.
Oh,
Which number are you? That's a higher number, right?
yeah, that's 20.
20, 20, 20, 20. Memory consolidation refers to the neural storage of a long-term memory. Yes, I looked at that question and I chose not to put it on because we didn't talk anything about storage other than long-term memory doesn't have a storage limit. It's unlimited. We did talk about that, but we didn't talk about question 20 at all. So I did think about putting it on, but I didn't like it, so I didn't.
So which one it would be like a good question?
21 would be good, speaking of memory consolidation, because we talked about memory consolidation with the propanol when the people were being treated for being afraid of spiders. You remember that? So the drug that she gave him, one pill at propanol, which is a blood pressure pill, and it interrupted the memory consolidation process where I say, you remember your mother's mother, your grandmother? Yeah, as soon as I ask you to do that, your brain goes and remembers her when the last time you saw her or whatever we remember about her. And then I said, okay, well, what was the first car that you drove? Oh, it was this car. Well, now you're not thinking about grandma anymore. So that memory has gone back to where it came from. That's memory reconsolidation. And what we learned from the spider experiment or treatment was that the fear that's associated with the presence of a spider got eliminated by the interference of the drug after the guy was all jacked up because he'd been really, really close to a huge spider. So he was sweating and his mouth was dry and you could see him kind of moving around. He was in the emotion of the time, the fear emotion. And so he takes the pill in the office, comes back the next day. He remembers everything. It's not a memory eraser. It just worked on the emotions that were associated with that memory of being around spiders. And then, of course, he began to touch them, and then they just can't believe they've been afraid of something their entire life, and one pill one time, and now they're not afraid of them anymore. So that's memory consolidation.
Oh, okay.
And the hippocampus is the brain part that is kind of like the traffic cop that's in the middle directing all the memories here, there, long term, out the door, all that stuff. The hippocampus is the portion of the brain that's responsible for that.
Okay.
I don't think none of these questions about sleep. Maybe one question. I don't know. 26 is a pretty good question. Hippocampus because what happens is the memory's in the hippocampus and then it releases it to go back to the cerebral cortex. So that's why it doesn't do you any good to study till 4 in the morning for the test at 8 o'clock in the morning, because all that memories that you hopefully learn from 1 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock, they're not in your memory yet. And you have to take the exam at 8. So you basically just lost sleep and blew it. Really? What do you want? You want to get on the video here? Come here. Children. They never listen. Okay. I didn't ask any questions about specific brain parts other than that one I just gave, like the basal ganglia questions. Yeah, there's a bunch of basal ganglia. There's a good question. Infantile amnesia, why children under 4 can't really remember anything from before they were 4 years old, because their brain hadn't developed enough yet. So that's why, and then we call that infantile amnesia. That's a good test question. Like I say, no tunnel vision, no flashbulb memory questions, which are a lot of them on here. No serotonin questions about memory. Oh, there's the long-term potentiation questions. None of those LLTP questions like 49 and 50 and 51, 52, 53, 54. Well, 55 is not LTP, but none of those questions are on the exam. I should have asked 57, which is propanol question, but I didn't. I don't think people necessarily remember the name of that drug, even though we did talk about it. Okay, so you're done with 23?
Yeah.
All right, I'll X that one out. Hopefully this will not take a long time responding. What are you doing? Okay. Well, you know what? I don't need that because I got 27 in the hard copy. All right. What questions do you have on mod 27?
Number 25.
If I could say it right, the triarchic theory of intelligence was advanced by who? Well, not Gardner. He had 9 different types. Spearman had the G intelligence. Benet was the guy who is responsible for the IQ test. So that leaves Robert Sternberg.
Okay.
That's not on the test either, but it's okay that you ask it.
So about like specific person that's not on the test, or
No, that's just a particular one. I chose
oh,
not
okay.
chose not to stick it on there.
Okay. And the one below that one, the 31.
That's an excellent question. Energetic persistence in pursuit of challenging goal is most clearly indicative of grit. Grit. Grit is the most predictive of whether you're going to be successful or not. And I don't know if you were in class yesterday or not, but I wrote it on the board. We discussed grit yesterday. So that is definitely going to be on test.
Okay. There were some about waste, WAIS.
The WAIS, yeah, the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Survey. I don't think any of the WAIS questions are on the test. Let me see if I can get to where they are. Here's the Stanford Binet question. The only waste question that would be on the test would be like something like 67, which just says the waste was created by who? David Wechsler. The W is his last name, Wechsler. The Wechsler Adult Inventory Intelligence Survey, I mean. The Wechsler Adult Intelligence Survey, WAIS. But, you know, like the next one about working memory and block design puzzles and analogies like in what way are brass and steel alike? I didn't put any of those on there.
Okay.
And then there's going to be obviously questions about distribution of intelligence scores, and you know, that one, that's a bell curve or a normative curve. Now, the only number, it would be important for you to have that handout in front of you so you could figure out, like, I don't normally ask a question like this, but this is a good question. 77, about 68% of WAIS scores fall between 85 and 115. Why is that important? Because that's what's considered normal intelligence. So that's a very good test question. And you could remember that from class, or if you weren't in class, you could figure it out by that sheet, because you can see between 85 and 115 is, I can't even remember the number, 34% between 85 and 100, and 34% between 100 and 115. You add those together, you get 68. So that's a good question.
Okay.
That's kind of an exception to the rule about numbers, but 77 is an important question.
Okay.
see what else is on here. I don't remember discussing many of these questions in class. The grit question was 31, by the way, mod 2731.
Mhm.
That one we did talk about.
Well, the grit.
Yeah. 42, which is an emotional intelligence question. That's a good test question. There'll probably be one or two emotional intelligence questions. There's at least 3 of them in here. Tests designed to predict the ability to learn new skills are called aptitude tests, not intelligence tests. For instance, a test of your capacity to learn to be an automobile mechanic would be considered an aptitude test. 49, achievement tests, which is a definition, are designed to do what? Well, that's a good question to be on the test. A written exam for a driver's license would be an achievement test. You've studied it, and now you understand it, and now you can take it.
Mhm.
Or, wait a minute, they might consider that an aptitude test. I better look that up before I step on my tongue, the more I think about it. Yeah, they're looking for achievement, so that's good. 50 is A, achievement. And then these other ones that have the numbers, you know, like figure out what Wilbur's intelligence was by dividing that equation. No, I'm not going to put any of those math questions on. I could put 57 on for the original version of the Stanford Binet. IQ was defined as the mental age divided by the chronological age multiplied by 100. So 57 is D. That's a good text question. But all those other ones doing mathematics. Oh, Brittany's gonna join us. Sorry, Brittany, I don't know how long you're waiting. I didn't see you. I was looking at mod 27. So welcome. We've just been answering questions. We started off with 22. Did I say something wrong? Did she leave us?
I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like she did.
Oh my.
It's too scary. You shouldn't have talked to her, I guess. Anyway, do you have anything left over from
27?
27?
No, I think that's it.
That's pretty straightforward. Okay, let's see how fast I can get rid of it. That's 119 questions in that test bank. And let's look at 28. If it lets me. What are you doing? It's spinning around in space. Okay, here we are. Okay. 28. You got any issues in this one?
I haven't been able to see it like really deeply, like every question. And
All
this,
right. Now let's look through them and see what might be a good question. Well, number 1 is a pretty good question. I don't think I'm going to ask any more heritable questions. Heritability. Number 4 would be a good test question. Number 5 is a good test question. Number 6 is not because it's 2 questions. Number 7 is a percentage question, so I'm not going to ask that. I'm not going to ask 8. Number 9 is an okay question. There it is, not opening all my questions. Man, that is slow. And it's only 45 questions in that mod. That's not very many. Okay, we were stopped at 5, so let's look at 6. No, that's a 2-question answer. No, I don't like 7. Don't like 8. 9 is a good question that researchers identified DNA segments telling us that our intelligence seems to be polygenetic, meaning more than one gene are involved in intelligence, which makes sense. 12 is 2 questions, so that won't be on there. 15 is almost for sure going to be on the test because that's an epigenetic question. 16 is epigenetics. 17 is epigenetics, but that's not the answer. The answer is a deprived environment. That would be a good question because I know I talked about several times about starvation and nourishment, lack of nourishment can affect your IQ. So that would be a good test question. And 19 is the same question, only asked differently. 20's got two answers, so that's not good. 21, we didn't talk about this, but it's kind of commonsensical. When you're promised money for doing well on an intelligence test, it raises your motivation and you generally do better. So motivation can affect taking a test. Maybe it'll be a question about growth mindset. 22, 23 are growth mindset questions, and 25 is a growth mindset question. 26 is 2 answers, so that one doesn't make it. Hmm. "31 is a good question because we talked about stereotype threat in class, and that's a stereotype threat question. The answer, of course, is D. Regardless of the country, stigmatized minority groups tend to score lower than majority groups. That's stereotype threat. And I know there's a stereotype threat question on here for sure. 35, we've talked about that Asians generally do better on intelligence tests, and they certainly do better on mathematics tests. So 35 is B. 37 is a good test question. There's stereotype threat. 39, definitely a good test question. and 40 and 41 are all stereotype, and 42. So you're going to have at least 2 stereotype threat questions because you got 4 or 5 of them in a row here. There's more examples. 44 is an example. And 45 is an excellent question too. Intelligence tests have effectively reduced discrimination in the sense that they have what? B, help limit reliance of educators subjectively biased judgments of students' academic. Before we had tests, we would say, okay, Miss Jones, who's graduating from 2nd grade to 3rd? And she would name, 28 out of her 30 students, and the other 2 didn't graduate because, she didn't feel like they can make her something. I don't know. So at least when you have a test, you have an objective standard instead of super subjective, totally subjective, by asking the instructor who should be held back another grade. Okay, well, if you don't have any other further questions, then I'm just going to shut this off and record it, post it in both classes, and they can thank you for showing up and asking good questions. And whoever was going to get on it, I guess I scared her by talking to her directly or something. I don't know. So she ran away quickly. Maybe something came up. I don't know. Make a judgment. So anyway. All right. Well, good luck. If you struggling with anything in those later modules, you can always shoot me an email or text or something. We'll work it out. Okay. I want you to take the test when you're ready and you've got what you need in front of you to do well. Okay.
Okay.
And you will do well. So.
Thank
All
you.
right. See you. What, on Tuesday maybe?
Tuesday.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you, teacher.